Today, Mrs. Claus and I are here in St. George, Utah, and one of my favorite Christmas hymns was actually written right here all the way back in the winter of 1869. Now picture this. It's back in the days of covered wagons, pulled by horses or a team of oxen, and a select group of families have been sent here to build a new settlement. Now back then, this now bustling city you see over there was once a dry, sandy expanse with red rock and black lava mesas. The Virgin River, more a muddy trickle than a proper stream, could, when the rains came, turn into an instant raging flash flood. Yeah, about the only things growing here were creosote bushes, cactus, and sagebrush. And during the summer, the temperatures could be higher than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, while the winters in this high desert, they would offer frozen nights. Life was definitely no sleigh ride here. These were pioneers, Mormon settlers mostly, who'd crossed oceans and prairies, experienced the hardships associated with trekking across the country in wagons and walking while pushing handcarts. They were far from the candlelit choirs of London or the organ swells of Boston, yet Christmas was coming, and with it, a longing for something to lift their weary hearts. Well, enter John Menzies McFarland. He was born in Scotland in 1833 with a poet's soul and a frontiersman's grit. John was no stranger to hard roads. He'd sailed the Atlantic in 1852, then drove wagons to Salt Lake City before landing right here in St. George. By day, he was a surveyor, mapping rivers through the wilderness. He was a judge, settling squabbles over water rights, and he was a farmer. By night, a musician. His one-room adobe brick home with a small lean-to in the back housed his and his wife's prized possession, a small pump organ. John and Ann would spend hours filling their home with music as John would play and Ann would work the bellows. That past summer, it had scant rain, and the hot sun destroyed the majority of the crops that they had planted, which meant that a Christmas feast, it was pretty impossible. The people of the settlement were tired and their spirits low, which prompted a local leader to ask John to compose a special Christmas song to help lift the spirits of those who had worked so hard, only to be met with these setbacks. John led a small local choir, 30 voices, from weathered grandpas to girls in sun-bleached bonnets, and he was thrilled with the prospect of writing a new hymn. The old hymns, he thought, well, they felt like hand-me-downs from another world, lush with imagery of snow and shepherds, fields. Not this land of scorpions and stone. He wanted a song that spoke to their Christmas, one that could make the desert feel holy. Well, night after night, he scratched at the lyrics by candlelight, praying, "Lord, give me a song." The words stalled, the melodies fell flat, and then came the storm. Not just any storm. This was a desert tempest, roaring down from the north like a herd of wild mustangs. The wind, blowing sand, and rain were no match for the threadbare quilts. John lay awake, his wife asleep by his side, and the unfinished hymn gnawing at his soul. "Sleep, John," she muttered. But sleep, it didn't come. And then, in the dead of that wild night, inspiration finally came. Not with trumpets, but with a whisper that grew to a roar in his heart. Words flooded his mind, painting a scene of shepherds under a starlit sky, hearing angel voices proclaim peace. He woke Ann up to pump the bellows while he finalized the inspired melody. And by morning, the storm had passed. It was Christmas Eve, 1869. The choir gathered, voices rough but radiant, and the congregation, farmers with calloused hands, mothers with tired eyes, listened as this new hymn filled the air. And for a moment, that desert felt like sacred ground. John never wrote another hymn text. In fact, he thought it would just be sung once and then forgotten. But year after year, the locals insisted that this new carol be included in the Christmas program. People moved on to other settlements, and they'd write asking permission to use the hymn in their new congregations. Well, John's hymn grew in popularity and was finally published in the Sunday School magazine 23 years after he composed it. And within a few years, choirs around the world would join in singing this new carol, born on a cold night right here in the harsh desert of southwestern Utah. And what was this song? This gift from a pioneer's sleepless night, this melody that turned a desert storm into a hymn for the ages? Why, it's one you've probably sung yourself. It's called Far, Far Away on Judea's Plains. So, there you have it, friends. From a small, struggling frontier settlement to a worldwide recognized hymn of praise. Proof that often the best gifts rise from the toughest challenges. So, here's my challenge for you. I want you to think of a time where you struggled. You may even be going through a particular struggle right now. Well, ponder on what you've learned or how you grew. Or if it's a current challenge, think on how you can emerge a better person. Pick up your journal or start one if you haven't done so and write down your thoughts about the promise of a better outcome. Remember, life's challenges, they're not obstacles to break us, but opportunities to shape us. And responding with courage and grace turns trials into triumphs. As part of my round-the-world venture, Santa needs to occasionally find a place to park the sleigh for the night. But overcrowded campgrounds, elves elbow to elbow? Naughty list. No thanks. I use Curb and Turf, the app which matches landowners with RVers looking to find a unique camp spot. The download is free. You simply pick a spot and the price you see is what you pay. No hidden surprises. Whew. Talk about a silent night. Download Curb and Turf for free. Santa's sleigh needs a place to park. And so do you. Merry camping to all. And to all, good night.